This episode of The Republic is brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial and to receive a free audiobook, just head on over to audible.com/gamebreaker. Gamebreaker TV. What's up, everybody, and welcome to The Republic, episode 163 for November 21st, 2013. I'm Gary again, and coming up on today's show is Galactic Starfighter, a galactic letdown. How do you like that for an opening line? And BioWare changes some stats on raiders and hard-earned items, a few other things about leaderboards and all that good stuff, all that more. But first, from SWTOR.com, Mr. Larry Everett, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. I'm a little, got some throat stuff going on now, so I'll be speaking kind of low. Even-tempered.
Even-tempered. No, okay, I will not bring up anything rage-inducing at all.
Don't bring up chat bubbles.
No chat bubbles, no nothing. Nothing of the sort. And, of course, Laura Williams. How are you, Laura?
Hey, I'm great, guys.
All righty. Some Star Wars talkie. So the feedback on Galactic Starfighter over on the PTS forums, bit of a mixed bag. There's some interesting points here I think that we need to address and talk about. One thread actually calls Galactic Starfighter a galactic letdown. Seems kind of harsh.
It's a little bit.
Hasn't even launched yet.
It's a little bit harsh.
Come on.
But here's my question. So I'm sure you guys have played more of it, but some of the concerns have to do on the PTS forums about just like the controls and the overall feel of how you just, that's hard to kind of encapsulate the feel of the experience. Sort of feeling like something's not really right. Something feels off. It's that the physics are a little floaty, or the impact, wasn't really there, or there wasn't really like a weight to the weapons, that sort of thing. So I wanted to kind of like talk about that a bit and kind of get your experience on I don't know, Lara, what do you feel that now that you've gotten some more time with it?
I think I can kind of see where I see this stemming from is in mainly one area, but it kind of bleeds into a second point that people have made. The first one, why I think it might feel a little bit floaty, is because there is a bit of a delay between your mouse movement and your ship movement because of the firing arc that is, the 360 arc that sits away from the center reticle. That does cause a little bit of an issue because your part of your time is spent aiming, and then now we're moving. So there is a little bit of a delay there, and that could give this I guess floaty feel, and not so. I would say less visceral, because it doesn't really feel like it's floating. It's just that it doesn't react as quickly as. It doesn't feel
as tactile as you'd sort of want it to be. But see, this is a hard thing because you're in space, so there is a floating aspect to it. But are you saying that like it actually feels like there's? I don't want to use the word latency, but.
Yeah, it's not really late, but it is latency in the sense that there is a delay between, because if you have let's say you have your reticle sitting like directly in the middle, and you move it. I mean, you're trying to move your ship. You're not trying to move the aiming reticle or anything, but you've got about this much space right here.
That your ship is not necessarily moving, correct?
Where your ship isn't moving.
But that's by design of the actual like controls of the ship, correct? Like.
Yes, yeah, that's design. There's no way to fix that, if you will. There's no fix for that. That's just how it's going to be because of that firing arc. You have that firing arc that is, a few degrees away from your from the center. However, and that also changes based off of which weapons you have. So certain weapons have a wider firing arc, and so you're going to get different feels.
Do you guys think, and Laura, chime in here? I mean, do you guys think that this was sort of the best way to kind of go about the controls of it? I mean, because it's like being a very Twitch-based shooter, I would have thought that like you would want instant tactile feeling changes and mobility and you wouldn't want like a delay. So there's this like buffer zone with your mouse. That seems a little odd.
See, I didn't really notice that though when I played it. What was odd for me is I use a Nostromo gamepad, and so I've got everything bound to that, and that did not work when I was playing Starfighter. So I had to actually go back to using the keyboard, and that felt very awkward to me. But as far as actually moving and turning and getting things to fire on time or when I was clicking, I didn't notice that delay at all.
So Lara, why do you think that the ship is not directly just bound to your mouse? Like, why wouldn't it just be WASD or something like, to thrust and stop, and then just have the reticle and everything move with instantaneous, pretty much how your character on a ground moves?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was kind of interested in that as well, and I was hoping to get somebody to Austin this weekend to kind of ask questions about that, but I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly. It's definitely an interesting choice. I know that part of it is a balanced design because that is another option to help balance the.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by balance?
Well,
how's that balanced design?
The way because if you can change the size of the reticle, you can change the stance at which you can fire. So hold still and fire. So it's kind of a buffer, and between the engines and the guns. So for instance, you don't have to worry about between this area and this area, which is the two largest areas between that you can fire it. You don't have to worry about how fast your engines are right here. Once you get beyond this, then you have to worry about the speed of the engine. So there's not that. So it's just another layer is basically what it is that they can add to help balance things out. So they can change that size of that reticle.
It's kind of interesting. I want to jump in here before I lose this. RR Maniac in chat room. Now, I don't know if this is legit or not. I'm just reading off the chat room. But he says he actually asked Michael Backus this exact question at the community cantina in San Francisco last week.
Okay.
And they said that they like the controls at the moment because it gives Galactic Starfighter a unique feel.
You mean unique feel exactly like World of Warplanes?
Ouch!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? Oh, wait. So,
Harshly.
yeah. I guess it is unique.
What do you? I mean, well, let me ask you this. I mean, is this something that it's a fraction of the player base feels is a bit odd? Are you seeing more and more concerns and people kind of bringing this up? I mean,
I know that people that are looking for more of a flight sim kind of game we're hoping that it would be more, that there would be a stationary reticle versus the reticle that you can move around, and that also having a stationary reticle also allows for joystick control, whether or not the game supports it.
That's the big question. A lot of people still asking for that.
Exactly, which is like right now, if we were to add joystick control in there, it's going to feel a little funky because you're not going to be able to move your ship the way that you want to move it. I played
World of Warplanes, and I'm trying to think. I did play it, and I don't know. I don't know if I've really played enough to form a full opinion on that style because it does have that move your mouse, and then Yeah. I remember it giving. I remember what it did kind of do slightly was it did sort of give your plane the feeling of weight to some extent. Like it felt heavier, like to move things. It was almost, it was almost like moving a ship at sea or something. Like it was like turn the wheel, and then it's like okay, we're turning, like doing that. And I can see where if that's what they're going for, that could feel okay. I guess it sounds. I don't know. It does. I haven't played it, so I don't have any hands on. I'll be honest. So it's hard for me to kind of comment on it. But I don't know. I think a lot of players out there, I'm watching chat room, people who haven't jumped in yet on the PTS to play it, they're all like, "What do you mean? It's not like super. It's not Twitch. It's not WASD. It's not like mouse. And it's like it is, but there's this like waiting buffer kind of feel where I think most players are really, especially by the way it looks like behind me. I think you just assume instantaneous reaction, Twitch based, like I touch a button.
Mm-hmm.
It is that way. I mean, it is really fast, but it's like there's this like half a second delay. Like you're like, oh, it should have gone. Oh wait, now it's going. You know, it's just like this little bit of delay in there that is something that you gotta kind of get used to, that you don't normally have in a regular combat sim.
Now here's Laura, I mean, you're kind of coming at this from more of like, I'd say like in this aspect, like a casual player where you'll probably jump in and play this once in a while, but you don't know. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, that's true. You probably won't even jump into it at all. But I mean, do you think a majority of players just as like kind of, I don't want to call this whole thing a mini game, but like a side sort of part of Star Wars: The Old Republic, do you think that they'll just sort of like overlook that and just kind of take it for what it is and jump in and not really take it too seriously?
I think that once people get used to playing it, and if I remember correctly, you can remap the keys. So once they can get in there and they get a feel for it and they get things set up the way that it's comfortable for them, I think people are really going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm kind of watching. I mean, I'm watching chat room as well, and it's like a mixed bag. And it sounds like it depends on your ship. You know, somebody playing saying like the Scout feels really fast.
Yeah. Some of them are slower than others, so it kind of depends on what you want. Do you want more maneuverability, or do you want to be sort of a heavier turret type ship that isn't going to move as fast and isn't going to be able to kind of do a barrel?
So another thing that came up like in production on the show, like thinking about this topic, and I wanted to ask you this question, Lara.
Yep.
Do you think that like, I feel like with certain, and I'm not saying this is with Star Wars, I'm asking the question, but with certain things like mini games or like components of an MMO, we sometimes cut them a lot of slack because they're in an MMO rather than if they were like a standalone game. Like, so if you were to put it up against like some sort of like tunnel-esque sort of like, Twitch-based shooter kind of game, but because it's inside of this like huge gigantic world, do we give these aspects of an MMO like a little bit too much slack when it comes to that?
To an extent, I think we do, yeah. Because when you're talking about a like a full production game, that this is what the game is based off of, this is everything that is in the game, and you're paying $60 or so for it, you kind of want it to be a little bit more. But if it's something that is being added on to the game that they're kind of just giving away, then yeah, sure, you're going to cut it a little more slack. But I also think at the same time that games like this and free-to-play games like World of Warplanes and those kinds of things they're really, really good when you consider that there's not a lot of production cost being thrown at them, and they're doing I'm not sure where World of Warplanes sits, honestly, because I haven't played a whole lot of it. But I know with Galactic Starfighter, there's quite a bit involved in this game. They did a really good job with a lot of the back end and the theory crafting and that sort of thing. There's all sorts of mechanics that I'm sure that people are going to mess around with for months, trying to figure out what is the best build for them and those kinds of things. So I think they did. The only thing that I am a little bit disappointed in is more of a, why don't we see any more maps? Why is it just 2 maps? And that's the only thing that's really kind of.
But they've stated that it's easy for them to create more maps when they don't have to worry about adding in AI elements into it. So if this goes over really well and is a success, I would fully expect that we will see plenty of more maps added into it. And let's cross our fingers and hope that it does really well, so that in the future that this says, they'll look at it and say, we also want to add in PvP or a PvE aspect, because look at how good it's performing in PvP.
Do you guys think that do you think if they could or if they do possibly at some point add joystick control to this, how would it fare with the moving reticle sort of scenario? Like would it adapt quite well to that with a joystick? Is that really the answer?
I think it's going to be very, very difficult, because my concern with the joystick, there's a couple of concerns. Okay, you can, if you could set the reticle to where it's stationary, where it's completely stationary and you don't move it, it's locked in place, then you could absolutely do.
But that would change completely how it plays. Like you couldn't really do that for like these players with the joystick, you get a completely different way of locked reticle, and these players don't. So I'm sure one of them would have an advantage over the other.
Yeah. So the other solution then, which isn't, I don't know that it's necessarily a viable solution, is the little hat. What is it called? Whatever. The little joystick that's usually sitting on top of the joystick, that usually turns the head of the pilot, is to some way make that so that works as your cursor, and then the joystick actually moves the ship. That's the only thing that I could think of to make it even viable at all, because it'd be really, really tough to make this work well on a joystick. Although I'm sure somebody out there is going to do it. Somebody.
Well, I'd like to hear more from the community when you guys jumping on the PTS and what you guys think of the controls. I'd love to hear. Leave a comment below in the show and let us know what you guys think of the controls. Another concern that's floating around I'm seeing to Galactic Starfighter is that it's making players way too much money in game. Is this true? I assume by both of your chuckles that yes. I'm hearing as much as $30K per match, which is only like 15 minutes tops, right?
It's definitely making a lot more money than what ground PvP is making right now. But I highly suspect that number is probably going to get lowered before it actually goes to live, because that's an insane amount of money.
It is.
You think it's going to get altered?
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's probably going to get reduced down to about what it is in PvP right now, which is somewhere between like 7 to 10K, depending on if you win or lose. People would be really mad.
How does this compare right now to like, I don't know, say dailies?
Doing this would be much more profitable than doing dailies. Somebody
even
said
if you're
12
losing
hours
every
of playing,
time.
they made 4 million credits.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, is this kind of like, you think they're maybe doing this for the PvP players to kind of like support those players and give them a little bit of a boost? Maybe it's by design. Because I mean, dailies are primarily PvE stuff, so maybe this is a way to get people back in and excited about P versus P.
I think, honestly, I think this is more of a test center thing, because people don't have a lot of money on test center, or they're just making sure that everything is working the way they intended on test center. Then they're going to reduce it once it goes to live, because the test center economy is quite a bit different. So yeah, it's going to be reduced quite a bit.
I assume, I probably shouldn't assume, but I will assume that the rewards scale based on level.
The money.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
the level 1 player jumping into Galactic. I mean, is the level 1 Galactic Starfighter jumping in and making 30,000 credits?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably not.
How does it? What's kind of the scale? What are you kind of seeing on the low end? Do you have any numbers?
I don't remember any numbers off the top of my head, but it's significant. It's about the same as what you'd run into in PvE. So a couple thousand on the low end when you're getting 10K at the high end. So it's pretty balanced. I'm sorry, it will be pretty balanced, I should say. It's not right now.
It's not.
Yeah.
Larry's on meds. Don't worry. Leave him alone.
I'm sorry. I am.
Last week we mentioned about leaderboards. We talked about how that would be a great addition to Galactic Starfighter. Now, if you're to believe everything that you see on the internet and read on the internet, which I do, I believe every single word of it.
Yeah, why not? I mean, everything is true on the internet.
It is. The question was asked at the San Francisco Community Cantina again. BioWare responded with a definite no. That's what we're hearing. I don't know if we have full confirmation that this is absolutely true, but if that's true, that's kind of disappointing.
Maybe they're gonna wait and see how it goes before they.
Look at Laura just changing. Look at Laura just changing the answer. It was a definite no.
Filtering out all. But you know what? I have played MMOs long enough to know that It's never an absolute, because
But they didn't
somewhere
say
down the
that.
line
They
it'll
didn't
come
say
on.
maybe we'll wait. Laura's saying, well, she's just dreaming for us. She's like, well, maybe they're waiting to see. They didn't even say that. They just said no.
You know what? All right, so look at the fiasco that they just had with the leaderboards and people exploiting the ground PvP. Maybe they want to wait and make sure that there's no kinds of crazy exploits that could go on before they introduce a Starfighter leaderboard. It could happen.
Anything.
I'm not going to say never.
You're not, but they apparently are. They said it.
They can say that, and then in like 6 months, we'll be like, oh, we're introducing a leaderboard for Galactic Starfighter.
All right, but let's assume for a second that BioWare are telling the truth, that there's absolutely zero plans to do this, and they're not going to do it. I really thought that this would actually be a pretty large draw for players who wanted to play Galactic Starfighter. Why? I don't know, Lara, why do you think that they would possibly be so against this? They just wanted to be super casual?
I honestly have no idea. If let's assuming that they are absolutely against ever putting leaderboards in, I think that would be a very, very bad move. Because I mean, generally speaking, and I know not everybody falls into this category, so those that are PvPers that don't fall in this category, keep your mouth shut. But for the most part, the PvPers want to know where they stand, and they want to know that they are better than this person, or they want to know that they can accomplish this and that, and the best way, or one of the best ways to do that, is through leaderboards. And I think that I just don't know why they wouldn't do that kind of thing. That just makes no sense to me at all. Chatham
is just trolling now and be like, maybe it's a Hero Engine thing. Let's start that debate. No, but what I could say it might be that they're still butthurt about their PvP leaderboards being exploited so terribly.
I would not be surprised about that at all. If they're like, wow, that last leaderboard that we did, that was pretty
didn't
horrible.
go over
We
so
messed
well.
that one up. Yeah, let me see.
I'm just going to say they also threw out there, this doesn't have to do with leaderboards, but they also said hands down that they were not going to support joysticks.
Well, they're
throwing that out there. 6 months, we may see that come down.
No, well, that's something like that. Although disappointing, I could see if they could, like, we just kind of debated the controls ourselves, and we just kind of are also sort of looking at it, just going like, how would this possibly work with their control screen? It doesn't seem like it's really set up to even work. You know, like if they built the input structure to talk to it, like your little hat button thing might work, but that sounds kind of lame. It doesn't. But this,
it is. It's very lame.
This is like, this has nothing to do with like controls or stuff like that. This is about just like, you know, keeping rank. I mean, people who PvP, like you said, this is part of the game for them, is to see like where I stand, where am I on the ranks? Like, am I better than you? Am I worse than you? Like, why else do you PvP? Like, that's part of the game. So I'm surprised by that they're just kind of saying no. Now I know in Laura's dreamland over here, if you were to take somebody, if you were to press him right now and be like, so you're gonna tell me absolutely no, never, and of course they're gonna back down and be like, of course we're maybe.
It's not in the works at the moment.
But the question was asked and the answer was just no, which I find that surprising. Because now I'm like, well, how is this? I'm more and more thinking that they just kind of see this as a side kind of casual thing and not really a serious PvP thing.
I don't know.
I don't know that I would say that I think that it's casual, though. I think this is an experiment. I think that they're waiting to see how well.
This sounds like an expensive experiment, because this is a big.
Yeah, but
this was a big
people again have
them.
been asking for space forever, and I mean, they've even admitted saying that starting with PvP is much easier to create maps and content for, because they don't have to throw AI in there or create PvE encounters for it. So yeah, I absolutely think that this is a big experiment. And who knows? That's what I'm saying. It may come in the future. They're waiting to see how it goes.
Soon TM. Any has there been any follow-up, by the way, on the whole PvP leaderboard front?
Yes,
yeah, that's been kind of taken care of, actually.
Is that okay now?
The players got banned and they had their rankings reset. Yep. And I just want to give a shout out to Yoda. Congratulations on being the top assassin. Yay.
He's in the channel right now.
Huge shout out.
Oh, hey.
So what did they get? They got do you guys have any of the info in front of you? Like as far as like what happened? So do we know how many people got banned or anything like that? Any kind of specifics?
No, they didn't give it.
They didn't say any more than just the people that were exploiting were given a suspension and that their rankings were reset.
Were the entire leaderboards reset, or just the people who were banned?
Just
theirs.
So all the data they got to keep intact and everything is legit now. Okay, so that's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to hear.
Yeah, they were on that really fast too. Actually, I was really surprised.
I got some controversial changes to Relic items we're going to talk about. But first, I want to tell you guys about Audible.com. That's right. I want to hook you guys up with a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. All you have to do is go to the URL, audible.com/gamebreaker. Sign up today. Get the app, put it on your iOS device, your iPhone, or your Android, whatever you got, and get to downloading the book. Let's take a listen to. We haven't listened to this one. I want to hear this for a quick second. Anybody familiar with the Fatal Alliance? Star Wars: The Old Republic Fatal Alliance?
Yes.
I'm going to listen to it.
That's not one of the best ones, but it is tied to Star Wars: The Old Republic, so it might be interesting.
Take a listen.
Diplomatic mission. To whom? From where? If I had a credit for every time someone tried that line, you wouldn't be talking to me now. There was a long pause. All right then. What will it cost for you to let us go? Jet looked at Shinko, who was calling the shots. Shinko's true employers were the Hutts, and sometimes a bribe was worth as much as booty after the cartels took their cut. The Rhodian shook his head. You're clear out of luck, mate, Jet told the person on the other end of the comm. Best vent those airlocks smartish. We're coming in and don't want to scuff the merchandise any more than we have to. The Star Cruiser had nothing to say to that. Shinko barked into a communicator as Jet brought the sublights into play. Thek, Gels, get ready for action. The two Celestins.
So I'm getting lost in the book now. Narrated by Mark Thompson, who does a fantastic job.
That is really good.
I really like the character voices he's doing and stuff. I mean, it's got almost 1,100 ratings with a 4.1. So I know what you're talking about, Larry. Maybe you shouldn't read the book, and maybe you should
I should just listen to the audiobook. That's right, because that sounds freaking amazing.
I think that's a much better idea. So if you guys have not checked it out, audiobooks on your iPhone or your Android device. Love the Audible, and so happy to have these guys on as sponsors for Gamebreaker to make this show and the others here on Gamebreaker possible. Like I said, I want to hook you guys up with a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook, and you can be downloading Star Wars: The Old Republic Fatal Alliance right now. Just go to audible.com/gamebreaker, make an account, get to downloading. Go. All right, so some controversial changes happening to existing Relic items in 2.5 on the PTS. So some Dread forged relics saw buffs, while some others weren't touched at all. And these are items that are already in the game and in raiders' hands. Mm-hmm. Because of this, we're seeing a huge outcry from people wanting to swap their relics once the patch goes live. Correct?
It's kind of large, yeah. Laura and I were kind of talking about this before the show started, and we're not sure because we obviously haven't done the math. We don't, but some people have, and the people that are doing the math are saying that the which relic is it? The Focused Retribution relic now outperforms the Boundless Ages relic. Currently, in the current setup, the Boundless Ages relic is the one that you want to get because that one gives you 490 power for 30 seconds, which has a minute and a half cooldown, I think.
It's also a click relic rather than just being a proc.
Yeah, exactly. But they're saying now that the 30% chance to grant 724 of the primary stat for 6 seconds is the better relic and that can happen once every 20 seconds. Go ahead.
How are these Dread forged relics acquired? How do you get them?
It is a token drop off of a boss. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, from I think it's from Dread Fortress. I think one of them. But it's definitely hard mode. It's definitely a hard mode operation.
So I mean, I can understand them why the issue here and why there's an outcry. So the issue is like, you work to get these relics. The relics then change, and they now need a different item. It's kind of an understandable complaint. Have they come out and specifically said that no, you cannot change them, or?
Well, you can't. Well, once you've bought them, I mean, they're yours. They're bound to you. So
well, you've when you buy it, you've got a 2-hour window to be able to refund it. But I mean, most people are going to buy it and they'll have augmented it, and once you do that, you can't get your token back.
Yeah.
So
the only, I mean, I would say that the best solution would be to reset all of the relics and give people the augments and the augmentation kit and the augments back if they happen to be augmented. That's the only thing I can think of, if that's possible to do. That I don't know. I don't know honestly what a good solution is, but that would be the best solution, is to reset everybody's relics. Let them, because the relics when they actually drop from the bosses, they're unassembled. So you go and you take them to the vendor, and the vendor assembles them into whichever relic you want them to be. And so if they reset everybody's relic back to an unassembled version, then they can go back and buy whichever relic they want. Even the guys that maybe they had Boundless Ages and they want to get Boundless Ages again. That's fine. It's reset. It didn't really do anything. So I think that is probably the best solution if they can pull that off.
Do you really think that they're going to do something like that? I mean, does it seem like that's actually an option?
well, they may, but no. I would be very surprised to hear if they did.
Yeah. I'd be really surprised as well, honestly, but I think they could. This
isn't, just so people understand, like this isn't like a normal occurrence, correct? I mean, like MMOs have patches and they change, but they have buffs, nerfs to existing gear is kind of a pretty rare occurrence. This isn't something we see all the time.
Well, it's rare for mid-tier.
Yeah, I mean, this messes with a lot of things. I mean, it hurts progression. It messes with like people's goals. It's like, this really isn't like the norm. I don't know. What do they do here? So what's their stance right now? It's just that they're just not going to do anything. It just is what it is.
I think as of right now, they haven't really given a stance. It's really what it boils down to. They're just like, this is the way it is for now. You know, I bet you we'll see some. Honestly, I mean, this is stuff that you do from rating. This is high-end content, and I'm really and people don't just arbitrarily pick whatever relic they want. They pick the one that's best for them, and then you go and you change what their relics do, and now you've changed what's best for them.
So it's basically like saying all those people, you have to go back into the raid and continue to farm again so that all of your people could now have their best in slots.
Yeah.
So what do they do? How do you throw the raiders a bone here and like or something, or just give people some sort of like a token to trade in to kind of like, what do you do? Like
that's what I would do. That's kind of what I would do, is just reset all the Dreadforge relics, reset them all back to unassembled.
How many, like, I know this is like totally scientific question here, but it's totally unscientific. If you had to guess after this change, if it stays the way it is, how many raiders would have the wrong option, or their option that they actually would not want post 2.5?
All the DPS.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So
assuming that now this is assuming that the math that they're giving on the forums is correct, which I'm going to have to go with them for now. Assuming that the math they're giving on the relic or on the forums is correct, every single DPS has the wrong relic. So what is that? Well over half the raiders.
Well, definitely one to keep an eye on. Hopefully BioWare says something about this in the next coming weeks or so. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep you tuned in. Laura Williams, follow her on Twitter at VoidMynx, VoidMynx. And of course, right here on The Republic every Thursday at 6 PST. Always a pleasure. Mr. Larry Everett, follow him on Twitter at Shadow, SHADDOE. Of course, go over to massively.com and read the Hyperspace Beacon, his Star Wars The Old Republic column there. What you talking about this week?
I talked about how to get started in Galactic Starfighter, and next week I'm going to talk about the crew members of your ships on Galactic Starfighter, which are really interesting addition to a shooter game.
There you go. Check it out. Go over to Massively, the hyperspace beacon. You can follow me on Twitter at Gary Gannon. Follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV. And of course, like I said, the show is live every single Thursday at 6. Come on over to the live show. It's a good time. And we will see you more next Thursday. No, we won't see you next Thursday. Wow, it's Thanksgiving.
No.
It's Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. I don't know when we're going to do a show. Keep an eye on the socials, Facebook, Twitter. You should be dialed into that anyway. Keep an eye on the front of the website. We'll be figuring out if we're going to reschedule or what we're going to do, because I derped out and just realized it's Thanksgiving. So we'll see you next week sometime. Have a great weekend.